All right, Shalom. You reached the He Prayed channel. My name is Isaac Mawath. First and foremost, I want to say, call Halayim Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Harakach. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Hadarak, where I learned this truth from, who rule well. Salutations to the Backyard, the elect, 144,000. It's 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. 12 tribes of Israel consist of you so-called blacks, Latinos, and indigenous of America. 144,000 being the governing body within the one-third. The rest of the one-third comprises of elect men, women, and children. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners, the Gentiles, scattered due to the diaspora and also the triangular trade. So our people come looking like different ethnicities, having various complexions. So this is not a black thing. We're not the black Hebrew Israelites. We're just Hebrew Israelites. Shalom to those that died in this truth. It says the dead should be raised up first. Those that will be accompanying Yahweh Shah on his return, including our King, King Ma'ashah, who is King David. And as always, it's an honor and privilege, honor and blessing to continue to do this work. The water Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah Ba'ashim Harakach for answering my prayers, permitting me to do such. Baba Kashah Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah Ba'ashim Harakach allowed us to be an edifying lesson to at least one member of the Baqiyar Shah Hadarak. So this topic is going to be entitled, Surely Our Fathers Have Inherited Lies. Goy the Heathen. Which the Goy often in the scriptures represents these heathen nations, man. But also, even our people have inherited lies, man, due to Esau, the so-called white man, fulfilling prophecy, right? Which is Satan bound, which the physical counterpart of Satan on earth is Esau, which Satan just means adversary. He's adversarial to the Heavenly Father and His Son, and he's set up and designed to be as such. This is Revelation 20:1, and I saw an angel. Now that angel, that messenger, represents the spirit associated with Yahweh Shai, come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit. Now the bottomless pit is dealing with Europe because it has no natural resources, right? And a great chain in his hand, which that chain represents pretty much slavery, man. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, and that's the same spirit that was in the serpent in the Garden of Eden. That deceived Eve with his philosophies and ideologies, the fruit of lies. Same thing that goes on today with, democracy, homosexuality, adultery, everything that is contrary to the scriptures, that they give you the freedom, and those are your only freedoms, that you can make a decision if you want to abide or you don't want to abide by those laws, right? It says, which is the devil. Devil is not no Hollywood, character. It means deceiver and also accuser, right? And Satan, as I aforementioned, means adversary. It says, and bound him 1,000 years, which that 1,000 years in which he was bound ended in the 1400s, you know, so around 400 to the 1400s was that 1,000 years in which he was bound, which that's when he didn't have no rulership on earth, you know. It says, and cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up. And that's when the so-called white man, who is this, who is Esau, which Esau is the spirit of Cain coming back into the earth, the sons of the wicked. That's when they were in subjugation underneath the Israelites who were calling themselves the Moors, you know, pursuing the Genesis, the 27th chapter, when he shall break his yoke from off thy neck, dealing with Jacob and Esau. It says, and set a seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more. So whenever Esau, the so-called white man, is in power, he goes about deceiving the nations, you know, and you nations have been deceived. It says, till 1,000 years shall be fulfilled, which once again that started during the Renaissance, which means the rebirth of Esau, the Edomites. And they came out of Europe and they got kicked out. And then they established America through rape, robbery, and murder and colonization. It says, and after that he may be loosed. And after that he must be loosed a little season. And this little season is the blessing that Isaac, his father, gave Esau, that he cried bitterly over. You know, so we're in the time of the serpent's deception. So let's go to Jeremiah. And, you know, even themselves are deceived. And when you tell them the truth, they're like a death adder, man. They don't listen because it's not in their spirit to listen. Right? This is Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 19. Oh, Yahweh, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction. Affliction going into, you know, slavery and oppression. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, which, you know, this Gentiles go into the word goy.
Strong's H 1471. Goy. Goy.
Which is nation, people, usually of non-Hebrew people, right? But you could also equate the Israelite foreigners because they act in these distant lands as non-Hebrew people. And then it says, be of descendants of Abraham, going back to the Israelite foreigners, C of Yasharallah. So Goyim or Gawayim equals nations. And that's why the Most High in these times is pouring out his spirit of truth. It says, the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, from every corner, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies. Why is that? Going back to this damn serpent, man. You know, when he was unleashed, he was deceiving the nations. So when he was released again for this little season that we're in right now, he went back to deceiving the nations, man. So, if you didn't have the spirit, well, we all had inherited his lies, but with the spirit of truth, we are privy to his lies. It says, vanity and things wherein there is no profit. Shall a man make gods unto himself, which these gods don't exist, they're idols. The one being is Cesare Borgia, which people depict as so-called Jesus Christ. It says, shall a man make gods unto himself, and they are no gods? Therefore, behold, I will this once cause them to know. I will cause them to know my hand and my might. So Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to take the opportunity in these last days to really show his power to the world, to put fear back into it. And they shall know that my name is Yahweh. And you're going to know the true names of the Heavenly Father and his Son after the dust settles. So going to co-pilot Jeremiah 16 and 19. Surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. Lashawan Kadash, Akan, Shakar, Nakala, Abayathana. Abayathana. Truly lies our fathers inherited. Shakar, deception, fraud, falsehood. Nakal, to receive as a inheritance. And Gua or Goy, nation often used of heathen nations. AI commentary, this is the core verse. Yasha Allah, which means he is Prince of the Power. That's the real pronunciation of Israel's Yasha Allah. He, Yah, Prince, Shah, Power, Allah. Yasha Allah absorbed the lies of the nations through captivity, false gods, false science, false identity, false history. The prophets revealed that these inherited lies have no profit. They do not lead to salvation. And the biggest lie right now going is Christianity, man, which they never called themselves Christian. And a lot of you don't even know what Christian means. This is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 18. It says, what? Let me see. Start at 18. This is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 18. What profiteth the graven image that the maker thereof hath graven it? The molten image and a teacher of lies. So Esau, he's nothing but a teacher of lies. That's why it's almost the same people that write all these textbooks and revise all these textbooks every so often, maybe 2 to 3 years, to keep the lies going, man. So they can stay in power. They know that you Israelites are a threat to their power if you know the truth and turn back to the Heavenly Father, man. They have it in your records. With your records, your history book is the Holy Bible that they took from you. And if they caught you reading it, they'll put you to death. And then they gave you a watered down version with Jesus and Christianity. It says that the maker of his work trusteth therein to make dumb idols. Woe, which means destruction, unto him that saith to the wood, awake, to the dumb stone, arise. It shall teach. Behold, it is laid over with gold and silver, and there is no breath at all in the midst of it. But Yahweh is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Cut down the chatter. Juggernaut in Juggernaut in Deadpool versus Wolverine. So going to co-pilot Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 18, the heathen's idols are lies. What profiteth the graven image, a teacher of lies? Lashwan Kadash, Marah, Shakar, the teacher of lies. Keyword etymology, Marah, instructor, one who teaches. Shakar, lie, deception. AI commentary, the heathen's idols, philosophies, religions, political systems are teachers of lies. These systems instruct nations in falsehood, shaping the worldview Yasha'Allah later inherited during captivity. And in consequence, all you nations, man, with your elite are all in cahoots. You know, they're confederate with each other. This is Psalms chapter 51, verse 1. It says, to the chief musician, Altasheth, the Miktam of David, do you indeed speak righteousness, O congregation? Do ye judge rightly, O ye sons of men? Yea, in heart and mind you work wickedness. So this is something that you always have to consider when dealing with these heathens. You know, starting with Esau, that they're working wickedness in some way or fashion. You weigh the violence of your hands in the earth, and we're seeing that right now going on with these wars. Verse 3, the wicked are estranged or alienated, which we can get that word. You hear that word a lot, estranged. Estranged, late 15th century, from French estranger, to alienate. Vulgar Latin extraneer, to treat as a stranger. Foreign, from without, right? So they're a stranger, strange from the womb, right? The wicked, because the Heavenly Father hates them. It says they go astray as soon as they be born. And you see all types of video clips on the internet how these children of the wicked, you know, are already accustomed to lying, you know, and they master it as they get, you know, of age. It says speaking lies, right? So all they do is lie. So going back to co-pilot Psalms 58 and 3, it says the wicked are estranged from the womb. The wicked are estranged from the womb, speaking lies. Lashwan Kwadash, Dar Wa Bara, Kazab, speakers of lies. Keyword etymology, Kazab, lie, deceit, falsehood. Root meaning to fail to disappoint, right? AI commentary, the wicked often referring to ruling heathen powers, which the wicked is always referring to Esau, the so-called white man who started calling himself white in 1681 due to the, I believe the word is preceding years, decades of Bacon rebellions. It says, are born into deception and propagate it generationally. Their lies become cultural inheritance. The very lies Yasha'Allah absorbed. And one of the biggest ones is Jesus and Christianity, man. You know, which both are falsehoods. His name wasn't Jesus, his name was Yahweh Shai. They weren't calling themselves Christian. They were called Christian in Antioch, Syria, as a derogatory term. They were calling themselves the Way, right? This is Baruch chapter 4, verse 1. This is the book of the commandments of the Most High. and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. And these heathen know that. That's why they always say, oh, yeah, God hates the sin, not the sinner. Or they might say the law is done away with. You know, it says, turn thee, O Jacob or Yaqub, and take heed of it. Be cautious. Walk in the presence of the light, the knowledge thereof, that thou mayest be illuminated. Right? It says, give not thy honor to another, nor the things that are profitable unto thee to a strange nation. And right now, the strange nation is these Edomites. It says, O Israel, O Yasharallah, happy are we, for the things that are pleasing to Yahweh are made known unto us. Through how? His spirit, and his spirit working through the prophets that are in the streets. Be of good cheer, my people, the memorial of Yasharallah. Ye were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because you moved Yahweh to wrath, ye were delivered unto the enemies. For ye provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devils and not to God. And one of those devils is Jesus. That's why Jesus never comes to your aid, man. So going back to co-pilot Baruch, chapter 4, verse 1 through 3, Yasharallah left the book of life and followed the heathen. They that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. Lashuan Quadas, conceptual, Safar Khayam, or Khayayam, book of life, keyword etymology, Khayayam, or Khayam, life, vitality. Leaving the book equals inheriting foreign doctrines, right? AI commentary, Baruch explains how Yasharallah left the commandments and followed the ways of the nations. This is how the lies of the heathen became inherited through assimilation and captivity. And this is the only captivity that we had that we could have, I think it's the second one. Because one being in the time of Antiochus, where we couldn't identify ourselves as Israelites or keep the laws. But let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 8. So this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 8. It says, but that which is made with hands is cursed, as well it as he that made it. He, because he made it, and it, because being corruptible, it was called God. For the ungodly and his ungodliness are both alike hateful unto the Most High. For that which is made shall be punished together with him that made it. Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation, right? Because they're all going to be destroyed, man. Because in the creature of the Most High, they are become an abomination, a wicked act, and stumbling blocks to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, spiritual adultery, and the invention of them the corruption of life. For neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever. For by the vainglory of men they entered into the world, and therefore shall they come shortly to an end. And it's going to be a part of that nuclear destruction. So going back to co-pilot Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, 8 through 11, idols are cursed, and the creation is a sin. The idol was cursed because it became a snare to the souls of men. Lashuan Kodash, Pasal, Ar Rawar, cursed idol, key etymology, Ar Rawar, cursed, condemned, idols equals systems of deception. And everything about Esau is a system of deception, man. You know, even this whole new virus that causes diarrhea, explosive diarrhea, you know, is part of his deception, man, because it's allowing them to have you go to them to receive anti, which means against, and biotics, meaning life, anti-life, so-called medications, man, which goes back to his pharmakia, which pharmakia in the Greek means witchcraft, man. You know, then he's releasing ticks that cause you to not want to eat meat. You know, so he's a pure a demon, intelligence that is not for good, but for evil. Says AI commentary, these heathens' idols, philosophies, religions, political ideologies, and also their education systems are cursed because they ensnare souls, which to ensnare something is to entrap. It says these snares, these traps, are the lies Israel inherited, leading to confusion, captivity, which means slavery, and loss of identity. It says you shall discontinue from your heritage. In Jeremiah the 17th chapter, the 4th verse. Final synthesis, the scriptures show a consistent pattern. The Gawayim, heathen nations, produce systems built on shakar, lies, vanity, and deception. Though through captivity, Yasha'Allah inherited these lies, but the prophets expose them so the elect can return to truth. And that's the only thing that we're focused on is the elect, man. Because that's the only ones that need to wake up in order for this destruction to come. Which this destruction is already in motion, man. People don't understand that this Iran war is a biblical war. You know, so with that, I hope at least one brother of the elect of the Bakyar, of the Hadarak, the way, was edified. And I'm going to say, Shalom.